as mentioned, I'm Davis Barons, came here from Riga. And a while ago, Daumantas reached out to me asking, why don't you come over and inspire young people for doing some startups, et cetera, et cetera. And I answered to him, Daumantas, doing business and doing startups is freaking hard. Why would somebody want to do that? And why somebody would need to be inspired for it? So therefore, I was thinking that I'll share some of the lessons that I've learned while building the business. So hopefully that makes your life less miserable as a young entrepreneur. And the reason why the presentation called Wake Up World is somehow to connect with what a couple of previous speakers said, that in reality, it's not that easy. And in reality, currently we live in time when it's quite easy to start a company. You get your application out, you go to the incubator, et cetera, but to actually scale, to make business, and to make real profits out of that, that's not that easy anymore. So a couple of words about Creamfinance. We do online consumer lending. We're currently in 8 countries across the globe. In Austria, we have the IT development offices. Going to the numbers, so as mentioned, 8 countries, we have something around 300 employees. 2016 we did with 335 million revenue. That is all profitable. And altogether we've raised 50 million previously in different kinds of funding, equity, debt, alternative investment, etc. And recently, just like this week, we closed the investment round from a Capitec bank in more than 20 millions. So that gives us an overall funding more than 70 million. So funding will be a big part of what I will be focusing on in this presentation. The business model, one-click convenience. So we understood very early that for the customer, it is super important to make borrowing online as convenient as possible. The way we do that is we leverage on smart data scoring. So smart data versus big data. Just in a couple of words, the big data focuses on a lot of data. The smart data focuses on what's relevant and what's stable out of all this bunch that is available there. And due to the fact that the business model is scalable, so we want to replicate that in as many countries where that is possible. Yeah? So that's the global presence. We're building a really global company that's working across quite a few continents. But all the time it was not like this. We started the company now 6 years ago. We started with 40,000 seed investment from friends, fools, and family. And ever since we were pivoting, changing, continuing the fundraise, etc., until we got to the point where we are today. And here you see on the table still, I think, the greatest piece of technology. It's the Nokia 61. Battery could last for 1 week. Who remembers that? It was great times. So, as when it comes to some advice for the startup guys, and super important is to keep it simple at the beginning. And I'm not talking about the bootstraps, things that you need to save money, etc. I'm talking more about the visions. Here you heard a lot about great companies, especially when people. I get very irritated when I hear about unicorns. You know that having a unicorn is statistically impossible, so if somebody is trying to inspire you with that, he's actually lying to your face. There are 200 unicorns in the world. Nobody is from Baltic states. The closest you get is Spotify from Sweden. So what I'm telling with this is when you start, hey little friend, when you start the business, you not necessarily you will have the great vision. Most probably, it will not be the vision of the great international company. It will be just a small product that you're trying to get out there, and that is fine. When we started, we didn't think about it that way. We were trying to issue a loan to get it back and to get as low marketing cost as possible at the same time. The vision of the company is something that develops over time, and if you don't have the big look into the future at the beginning, it doesn't matter really. You just continue doing whatever is that your business idea, and after a while, it might catch up. Now this is time for me to drink a little bit of water before we get to the important things. Napoleon said once, you need three things to win every war. Money, money, and again money. Now, if you happen to have a company which is somehow off the ground, the success or total failure of that company most probably will be distinguished by do you get the funding or you don't get the funding. And when talking about that, there is quite a big, let's say, concept. Everybody's talking about smart money versus dumb money. You know, you get it from your friends, fools, and family, or you get it from some great venture capital fund. Personally, I think to get the company off the ground, it doesn't matter. Every fuel you get is completely good and completely necessary. Another thing which is quite common is the fundraising timeline. So let's imagine you get your seed round somehow, and then you say, okay, I have my 100 to 200,000, so what's next? So most probably the next round, A round, B round, will take 6 to 9 months in making. For example, the last round that we did, it took more than 12 months until all the agreements were made and the money was finally received. So here it is important to understand that if your burn rate is too big, you're going to be very quickly out of money. Yeah. So if your run rate is 5 months, most probably you're already riding a dead horse, a dinosaur. So understanding how fast you will be out of the money, it's super important. The next thing, and I think we in the company did this mistake 4 or 5 times just to be sure, is that never reject other offers before the funds are on your account. And it happens always, and always we were thinking that it's not going to happen to us. So you receive a term sheet, you receive a shareholders agreement, and everything's fine. Just on the last week before you should receive the money, something goes badly wrong. Either it's something with the business, either the partner of the investment fund is fired, whatever is the reason. And you have run a marathon with this company, let's say 6 months, doing all the agreements, and all of a sudden it's gone. So you need to start all over again. So what I would sort of suggest is to do many parallel fundraising processes, because most of them will fail anyway. When it comes to who is giving you the money, it could be angel investor, it could be venture capital fund, it could be a debt provider, it could be crowdfunding platform, etc. Every of these type of investors have a different view how they look at the investment. So venture capital fund doesn't care about anything else as their 10x return in 4 to 5 years. Family office, on contrary, would be happier with less return but more stable business model. Or a debt provider cares only about the fact that he's going to get his money back and on time, right? So you have to customize your offer for every different type of investor. Another thing which was mentioned here, I think is super important, is getting out of the way, especially for founders. Our experience in Creamfinance was that every single function which is super crucial for the business, let's say marketing, finance, or risk, or IT, only developed to its full potential when you put a professional in place. Of course, at the beginning, it's not possible because there's simply no infrastructure to support that. But the idea is as soon as you are capable of getting out of the way, you should be doing that. Another point here is losing control. And this is very often here, I don't want to lose control, I want my 51%, etc., etc. I personally think it's bullshit. There are many different types of control you can execute in the company. It can be legal, it can be shareholding, it can be management, or it can be financial. So most probably the person that gave you the money or is financing the project is in control. I personally think losing either financial or legal or shareholding control, that is completely okay. If you want to run a really big business, you'll have to get your partners, you'll have to get your investors and dilute down. And the next thing comes from this great man, yeah, that's Pitbull. He was talking about getting advice and getting money twice. I just can't emphasize how important that is to surround yourself with smart people, with people who understand what it's doing. And I'll give you just an example. We happen to be somewhere in China in a fundraising round, and it's 3 of us, the founders. And then we get locked for 4 days in the meeting room with no actual windows, and you have a bunch of lawyers in front of you. And at that point, I understand we're completely not ready for this kind of setup, right? The legal documents go out, they come back with the comments with these Chinese hieroglyphs, you don't understand anything. And this was a big learning moment for us. We understood that we should have gone to this meeting with professional advice, with people who understand how to manage term sheets, legal documents, etc., etc. So if it's needed, pay for advice, and get the smart people and reach out. There's really a lot of information out there. For example, video blog of my business partner, ansviesulis.com. So he's actually running a video blog where he's sharing a lot of experience, a lot of stories from how we're building the business. So you can just go on YouTube and check it out for yourself. The next thing is about focus. And I just met the guys here and I was talking to them and they said, oh, I'm running 2 or 3 startups currently, but I'm currently to you pitching this one, etc., etc. And in my opinion, this kind of approach will never get funded and will never succeed. So focus is super important. People that are investing in your startup want to know that you're completely committed to this one thing that you're doing. So most probably the guys that are running 2 or 3 startups at the same time just don't advertise, maybe don't talk about it. And also, focus means the strategy, and focus means the things you not do. I think things you not do are as important as the things you do. So being very critical about what this company is not about or what this product is not about is as important as knowing what the product is designed for. So, thank you for listening. I see we have a question here. I'll answer to that later, but just on the final words. There is a lot of money around, there is a lot of talent around, but the brutal honesty is that most of the products are shit. Most of the startups really don't have what it takes to become funded, to become a really sustainable business. And the faster, I believe, you come from that perspective, why my startup is crappy and nobody wants to invest in it, then you might have a little bit of chance in succeeding over the others, because that will give you the edge, the mindset of really, pushing the limits and looking beyond. Thank you. Questions?
Questions for Davis? Do you actually listen to Pitbull?
I know this one song for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's good that you know only one song. Thank you, Davis.
At least one.
Thank you so much. Davis Barons. Let's applaud him.